Hey everybody, in this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show, we're breaking down Season 3, Episode 12, Curse of the Earth Totem. Yo-ho, yo-ho, a birthday boy I see. That's right, it's Dave Child's birthday! Let's do it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yeah! Oh, yeah! Hope everyone's feel real sexy for my birthday. Yeah! That's what I like.
I love how we've got the mood lighting and everything.
That's right, folks. Welcome to the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. I'm going to be quiet now because I'm going to let everybody sing for a little bit because they know the words. I'm sure you know it at home. So sing along for a few moments.
No one knows this part.
Yeah, I'm like, I know the chorus.
Something eyes.
Love it. Love it.
In a second.
Hey everybody, welcome.
Okay.
Of course, as always, we're breaking down every episode of The Legends of Tomorrow, airing Monday nights on the CW. Of course, breaking it down on Tuesday because we just need that extra time to really dissect it and break it down for you.
Just let it sink in.
That's right. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran, sitting next to the birthday boy himself, Mr. Dave Child. But you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie.
Hi, I'm Dave Child. You can find me at Mr. Dave Child or DaveChild.com. It's my birthday. Thanks for joining me. Yay! Thank you.
Wow, what a come down. I am Lex Michael. I am all over social media at the Lex Michael.
And I'm Lacretia Lyon, guys. You can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet since there is only one.
And of course, folks, you can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give it a thumbs up while you're there. And Lacretia's got her computer up and running, which means our chat room is up and running. So feel free to chime in about anything about this episode in particular, anything Legends Tomorrow, or just birthday wishes for Dave Child. In fact, let's start off with a couple of those.
Just make it all about me. Why do we have to talk about the episode? Let's just focus on me.
Yes, and before we get to that, what's the hashtag they should use, Lex Michael?
Hashtag Happy Birth Dave.
Yeah, and we
With a
did. We did get one from Matt Burton at the Matt Burton 87. Says, "Happy birthday, Dave Child. Have a glass of Dave on the rocks and listen to some Dave Talica turned up to 11. Have a good one, you misfit."
I like it.
Look at that.
I like it. They know I'm not a hero. I'm just a misfit. I'm a legend.
So, Dave could have spent many different places, areas, people. You chose to spend your birthday here with us breaking down this great TV show.
With family.
That's right.
I wanted to be with family.
Aw.
And it's you guys.
Aw.
I did have a lot of sugar today, though. I went to a candy store, and I just went crazy.
What is your candy of choice?
I got, obscure candies. I got one called Flake. It's not good.
Okay.
And I got one called Bun. That was very good. The Bun one was very good.
What is it?
It looked like a bun.
Sure.
But
That follows.
It had nougat and peanut butter
man.
and chocolate on it. It was good. And then I had a strawberry rhubarb soda.
Oh, those are good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
All right.
But now I'm just now I'm crashing from
Toasted.
from the sugar rush. That's how you spend your birthday. Just sugar it up.
I'm curious about this one called Flake. It seems like such a terrible name.
Describe
It's terrible
Flake.
candy.
It felt like, okay, you just finished making Hershey kisses. Hershey kisses, but you have all this fudge just still on the bottom of the pan. Just scrape it off, put it into a tube, and you got Flake. That's basically what it
Do you
was.
just tip it into your mouth?
It was it looked like little not even rolled up. It just looked like scrunched up things of chocolate that was all in just one stick.
How do you eat it?
Just break it off.
Okay,
eat
like
it.
a big pretzel.
Yeah, it's basically just the remnants of milk chocolate that's at the bottom of a pan.
Huh.
That's just all one combined thing. I don't recommend it, is what I'm trying to say.
Got it. All right.
Yeah, they're doing the hashtag sugar high in the chat here.
Good.
Thank you, Renji90998, and that just reminds me of Empire Records. The end of it.
Yeah,
that's
that was
all.
good.
Yeah.
So for this episode, we have 3 storylines going on. So
Yeah.
we'll save 2 of them for a little bit, but let's dive into the first one, which is, of course, we saw teased at the end of last week, Wally West being approached by Rip Hunter to join the to join him and ostensibly at some point the Legends.
Yep.
So how do we like seeing Wally West kind of brought into this universe?
it was good to see him, but I felt like he was bringing a lot of angst that we hadn't seen before. Like, he's just, they don't accept me in the Team Flash. I'm like, they've tried, dude. Like, you're just the second speedster, I guess. But
I never noticed anybody on Flash going like, just sit down, Wally, we're good.
Yeah.
I never felt like anybody did that to him.
But at the same time, I did feel like as soon as Barry got back, they didn't really know what to do with him.
Right, he was always underutilized, and it made a lot of sense, especially the way he exited Flash for a little bit, like where he's like, I'm going to go find myself.
Yeah.
Also, I like that he devoted himself to meditation. That was very nice.
Pro man bun or no man?
No man.
No man,
man
bun.
bun.
No man should ever have a bun. It just does not work. And if you're gonna have a bun, just go with a couple of buns. That would be fine.
Or the candy.
Or the candy.
Yeah, or the candy bun.
Yeah.
The bun I had, I enjoyed. I feel like you should have that, if anything.
But you were saying, Lex.
What? Oh, I was just saying, like, I commend his open-mindedness in attempting the bun, though
Yeah.
I wouldn't encourage it particularly. But the way he left going to find himself, and after not being utilized heavily on that show, also his girlfriend broke up with him, and that's like the worst thing that could happen on any one of these shows. It makes sense. He's in a perfect position to want a new adventure, and even for now, that adventure only being him and Rip like hanging out getting drunk, I'm for it.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love that Rip is the one to go search for him and kind of be like, you know, they're broing out when they're both respected, like feeling on the outs, not knowing where they belong. So that was kind of a good introduction because they both sort of are like, they have these skills, but they weren't really utilizing them where they were.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Rip drink jet fuel, which Rip should not be drinking jet fuel. Speedsters can do it. Rip, I'm worried about him. Also, he basically got Wally drunk enough so he would steal for him.
Yep.
Steal for him.
That occurred to me at a certain point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it did occur, and I don't know if anybody else had popped up too, but when he first approaches him and Wally's like, no, I'm going to just hang here, and he pulls out the flask, I started having shades of Martin and Jack.
Yes.
At that moment.
My
Like,
brain went to the exact same place. Like, is another dude about to roofie a boy to take him on time adventures?
You do not want to be a young black man on the Legends. Oh,
Get
man.
roofied.
Oh,
That
guys.
did not happen, though.
Luckily.
That did not happen. And they spend a lot of time, like, kind of retconning that as much as possible in the previous Legends. But yeah, that was a little... At least he didn't, like, put something in someone's drink or anything.
Yeah.
No. But it seemed like they have a nice, easygoing bond right now between the two of them, which is nice. Everybody else is so kind of, well, they've been with Rip for a while. They've got opinions on him.
And they sang Careless Whisper, which was... It's a great song to sing at karaoke.
It was adorable.
No, I'm going to sing it at karaoke.
I mean,
that's for
specifically
sure.
I'll try to
1992
film it,
Tokyo,
guys.
too, where they went back like, hey, we got to pick the perfect era and the perfect location that this song will definitely be in heavy rotation at karaoke bars.
Yes, specifically Tokyo 1992.
Yes. Everybody enjoyed that.
I did. Now I wonder, so is Rip coming back to the team as well? It's going to be Rip and Wally?
I felt like that was what the theft of the brown coat was meant to indicate.
Yeah.
That, like, bureaucracy Rip is no more.
Is no more.
And Legends upturned collar brown coat Rip has returned.
Yay.
And
Yeah.
I'm curious if it's whether joining the Legends or it's just going to be the Legends. We've got Damien Dark and Malice and all his crew, and then Rip and Wally. Kind of, they're all three of them are kind of three separate teams, kind of vying for the same thing.
I would watch that show. I would watch the Rip and Wally show for 6 episodes. I don't know if I need
and
like
Wally, yeah.
the 13 episode seasons or 24 episode seasons, but at least for 6, like a mini season, I would watch just that.
Yeah.
I feel like they're coming back, though, because they said at the end, I know a place where they accept misfits and not heroes, but legends.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved that. And I was like, I know we're all going to laugh about this tomorrow. That's why it was so
Yeah.
special.
But also, why didn't Wally say, but Rip, don't they not like you? How are you guaranteeing me a spot in a team where people don't
They
like
don't
you?
know.
Yeah,
How
he
does he
doesn't
know
know the
what's
ins and
going
outs.
on with Rip? I also like how he's like, my friend Nate. I was just like, you met him once. Granted, you guys fought Nazis together, but...
Maybe
thought
there
the-
was some build-up, you
Yeah.
know.
I thought the implication was that they had been doing that a little bit for a while.
It
Yeah.
seemed like
Yeah.
Yeah.
in that like the summer hiatus, it was just like Nate and Wally kind of fighting crime, doing their thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. That's right, because it was during the time period where Nate had nothing to do.
Yeah, and Wally
Yeah.
and Barry was in the Speed Force.
Right, so they were kind of together. Okay, all right. I forgot about that. I just thought it was the one crossover event. That it was just like, hey, yeah, all right, Nazis, good. Now we're best friends.
But also then consider, right, Wally barely has a frame of reference for who Rip is. So what that means is that in all the time he was hanging out with Nate, and Nate was presumably telling him stories about his adventures with the Legends, he did not so much as mention Rip Hunter. It's really sad.
Which I don't think he would, because
Yeah, 'cause-
Nate doesn't. Nate started hanging out with him kind of right after Rip's.
Well, right.
Yeah,
was
Rip
later.
left, and like Oliver's the one that brought Nate in, and not Rip. He's actually one of the only ones that had nothing really to do with Rip.
But
Yeah.
they still had to fight an evil version of their former teammate. I feel like that might warrant a mention, because there's a lot of just dramas, character drama in that story.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, speaking of Nate, that kind of brings us over to one of the other storylines where, well, the idea is like, hey, Sarah and Ava, they're going to have a little date. And while they're off on that date, we find the Legends, find out about the Earth Totem. They know where it's located, and they want to go back and find it without Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually think they've really figured out how to have romantic storylines this season. I like all their romantic storylines that they've been basically pursuing.
I do too. I like Sarah and Ava a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very cute.
They have the best couple name, Ava Lance. I like that. It's like, ooh, yeah, that's a really good one.
And it was nicely done. I mean, it required nothing about being gender or their sexuality. It was just two people out on a date.
And I like how
nice.
nervous they are with one another, but they're also very professional in their fields. And that's like, they're balancing that, and they don't quite know how to save time to have a relationship, so they're worried about what it's like to be in a relationship. But because they're both in that same mindset, it works out.
Yeah, and that's what I like. And they come to a conclusion at the end that they both are these very independent women and, you know, really don't want to take away from each other. And I like that the Legends were very supportive of Sarah and trying not to, like, they're like, well, Ray's like, let's do this on our own so we don't hurt her date. Like, very sweet.
Sarah does mess up, though, for the record.
Yeah.
I think Sarah should have left a note.
Something, yeah.
Because Ava was, yes, she was coming back to say, yeah, I have to deal with this, I have to leave. But she was coming back to at least tell Sarah that. So Sarah did mess up. So I was kind of happy when Ava showed up and was like, what? You stood me up. What happened?
Yeah.
They couldn't write something in, just even on a cocktail napkin, like,
Yeah.
had to go.
Or just tell
Legends
the-
screwed up, like
Yeah.
usual.
Maybe her plan was to go deal with the problem and then go back in time to the moment she left.
No one ever
And
does
then-
that on the show.
No, but this could have been the first time.
No one ever does that. I think
Yeah.
it might have kind of happened at the end of this episode, which we'll get to in a little bit. But no one ever takes advantage of that time travel thing.
Which you'd think would be the immediately obvious solution to at least half of the
To a
problems.
lot, even in this episode, they're like, "Oh, we know where the fire totem is. We know where it is, and oops, Dark took it. Guess we're too late." No, you're not. Go to
You
the
have a
time.
time ship.
You have a time ship. You know where it is. Go to right where, unless they went there and was like, now we don't know where it is because this is the earliest time we could possibly find it. That would be how you excuse that. But other than that, it's okay if you change that time. I mean, is it because they got a note that it's now stuck in time?
There is a lot of very questionable planning in this episode.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just
I'm only wondering if they do that because it would go down a rabbit hole of, well, no, I'm going to get here 5 minutes before that. Then, oh, I'm going to get 5 minutes before the Legend. And then it just becomes a series of who's going to get there, constantly jumping forward in time. So do they just say, like, we're just going to not even acknowledge that is a possibility so that way we don't have to go down that rabbit hole?
But doesn't that rabbit hole sound like a fun episode?
It does. It sounds like a really fun
does.
Where they're
single episode, or at least like a mini arc. But it does, if you follow it all the way through, it does somewhat break the premise of the show.
Yeah. Well, it's also like I always get the sense, you get this sense in Doctor Who as well, where once you meet the people and once that time period is established, once it's like kind of set, you can't undo it, else something bad will happen, a paradox will happen, you'll break time again. So you just have to be careful about if they show up to that time period and find out that the fire emblem is gone, that would be better to me than just hearing that he took it.
Yeah.
Because once they show up to that time period, then it's kind of set in their timeline. They can't really do anything about it. If they go back in time, they could create a paradox because why would they ever show up to that time?
Right.
You know?
Yes.
But hearing from Gideon about what happens in the future and that they're too late in the future. That just doesn't sound right to me. It sounds like all they need to do was show up and be like, we're too late. Unless that's what that note was. Maybe they did do that.
But even when it came to them all deciding, hey, let's let Sarah have her nice night out, and we'll go and do it right now. It's like, you could, I thought that's the exact thing that I thought of you. It's like, just wait until the morning when Sarah's back, and then just go. Because it doesn't matter when you leave now, because you're going to, whether you leave now or you leave in the morning, you're still going back to the same point in time.
Yes.
So why not just go with your
There's
full contingent?
no rush, yeah.
But then again, that's
Also,
that's
it's-
remove the stakes.
Yeah, it just makes it so they don't think like that. There is no like, there is no. They could have waited until after the date and then could have gone. They could have gone and then she could have gone on the date. They're both time people.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
when
could've-
you're time travelers, you literally only have time to do everything.
Not for nothing, they could have also gone together.
That's true.
Yeah, but no, because that wouldn't have been a date.
No, I don't mean as their date. I mean as either like a closer for the evening or as a prelude to the date itself.
Well, and didn't you
I
guys
still
think it
think
was
that
odd
wouldn't-
that they went
I wouldn't
to
recommend it.
Star City like 2018? Yes. It's like,
I wouldn't recommend
yeah.
it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
it would be a weird
I
date.
He's been down that
Yeah.
road one too many times.
I'm just saying, if you're going to go on a date with someone, it's best to establish it as a date, and it gets complicated if it begins or ends with a friend's hangout.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good
True.
point. Okay, so then you could still postpone the date to another day and have her come and help with this time
Yes.
mission.
Yeah.
Because she is, of course, a valuable asset on time missions.
Or done the time mission after the date. Because
that's-
Yeah, be
it's
like,
a
"Hey, babe."
time mission.
You want to go back to my time ship and go on a time mission? That would have worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been a good ending to that date.
Except she's like, I don't know, I got a time door I can just walk through, so your time ship's nothing to my time door.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Don't those things essentially render time ships irrelevant, obsolete,
Yeah. Except the time ship has like guns.
and a kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can fight giant robots when it needs to.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you're taking the office with you, so to speak, which is kind of
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
It's like the Winnebago.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
it's the
absolutely.
time Winnebago.
And then I'm like, time went a bingo if it had gone the way they planned.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people in the chat keep pointing out, isn't it odd that they picked Star City 2018 for the date and we had no mention of Black Siren or Captain Lance or... It's like, yeah, like,
Yeah, maybe she would mention Black Siren.
yeah,
You
or
know,
her
there's an
dad.
evil version of my sister running around right now.
Yeah, because to our knowledge, Sarah's not aware of this, even though it's been around for some time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is weird.
Wait, and sidebar for Arrow, because Vigilante got taken out by
Yes.
Black Siren. That seems disappointing to me.
I know, he was really adorable.
I agree, but what makes up for it for me is the means by which he's dispatched. Spoilers for Arrow, I guess. When she Black Sirens him right in the ear and
Yeah.
overloads his head, that was dope.
Well, yeah, but didn't he feel? It's a Vigilante, man. There's more you could do with him, right?
Well, yes.
I'm sorry, we're not talking about heroes.
No,
No.
that was
We're talking about misfits.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a misfit right there. But they go back, and we see at the beginning of the episode kind of a little standalone cold open where we see Blackbeard. We don't know it's Blackbeard at the moment, but he's there burying the loot because that's what you got to do when you're a pirate. You got to bury that loot.
Yeah.
And one thing that he has with him is an emerald, which you do find out happens to be the Earth Totem. Gives it to his gal pal.
Yeah,
And,
like eats the pirate lady.
Yeah.
does not go well.
Yeah, I do have to say I loved Blackbeard. I thought
Yeah.
I thought he was a fun actor.
Yeah, Jonathan Cake, who most people probably know from Chuck or Desperate Housewives, which you see
Right.
most of these actors have been a part of, which is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if I like the turn where it's like, yeah, you know what, really, guys, you didn't know this, but Blackbeard, he was a real coward. I don't know if I like that turn of the character.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
Here gets the
Yes?
beef jerky.
That's
the
right.
Little, the little sea beef we got going.
I felt that really reduced the stakes. Where
Why?
He's a coward.
Why? Because we still have Dark. We still have other stuff. He's not the main villain. It made it so we've seen Blackbeard in like Pirates of the Caribbean. We know who Blackbeard is. We usually see him as this terrible. He's the most famous pirate of all time, and he's supposed to be terrible and mean. So how can you put that on its head? you make it so he's a little bit of a coward and a dandy.
And this is also something that runs through the episode, this idea that pirates are just grilling Frank now. That pirates love tall tales. They love good stories.
They like the story rather than the reality.
So it tracks that Blackbeard could very well be all tall tales and
All
no.
hype.
Yes.
yeah.
There you go.
Like the pirate bar, you can apparently walk into and start telling a story, and everyone in the bar will start to yes and you.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
That's what I liked.
I like that. I would like to see how far that can go as you do it.
And I like that it was Amaya that they decided to pimp
Yeah.
out, because it's like, yeah, out of all the ones that were there, it goes Sarah, who was on a date, and then you're like, okay, Amaya's the next strongest. Yeah.
I love how they do these very, this is an important world-saving, time-saving mission. Let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
Let's just have
Yeah.
fun with it, It's
That's what I like about Nate, is he and Ray tend to want to have fun with this.
Yeah.
They're fun, yeah.
They're like, well, it was... And it was even Rory whose idea kind of was like, she needs to blow off steam, so let's make her the pirate queen. I like that.
No, it was nice because I think it touched on a little bit of what we talked about last week with Amaya, that she's kind of like she's predestined to go back to 1942, to get married, to have her daughter and then grandchildren, which are turned out to be.
And also to see her village get destroyed
Yes.
and basically her murdered.
Yeah,
so
and
she doesn't have a nice future ahead of her.
And having to leave a relationship with Nate, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's already, you feel like, well, that's not really going to go on much further. So to have her kind of acknowledge that as well, that she's kind of stuck, not knowing what to do, because anything she does just is kind of wrong.
Yeah.
So it's consolation. She gets to be pirate queen.
There
Yeah.
you go. Sometimes that helps.
And then on the rum bottle at the end, and sometimes they screw up time for the best. Yeah.
She looked good as a pirate queen.
Oh,
For real.
yeah.
That was great. This is a weird thing I noticed, and I don't know if I've ever really noticed this. Her hair in the beginning of the episode.
I think it was a wig.
Yeah, of course it was a wig.
I think it was a wig.
It was a bad wig, is the point. It was like, it's a strange wig for them to put on her. It just did not look right.
It's possible the implication was she had recently come from a time mission where wigs were required as part of her incognito ensemble.
What? No. This was off. And what also threw me is she even said to Zari, she said to Zari, like, hey, I love what you're doing with your hair. And Zari's like, oh, thanks, I hate it. It's like, no, it looks really good. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, your hair looks awful. Girl, your hair looks terrible. But then as soon as she became a pirate queen, then it looked great.
Yes.
So as soon as they changed it to a good-looking wig, she was fine. It just did not look good. That it was weird. I hate to be snap, but it kind of it threw me.
Well, I feel like of all the legends, because I mean, Zari had a very focused episode on her last week, but I feel like Amaya, since in her whole time, she's never really had something that's kind of put her in the forefront of one of the plots for an episode. So it was kind of nice to see her get the Pirate Queen kind of role in this.
Yeah.
Yes, and also Mick in that environment makes so much sense. And he seemed to be enjoying himself a good deal.
Yeah, but how do you feel like if you just had somebody that was always with you on these missions and they were always just reading your cell phones, they didn't read out your text, they knew what was going on with you in your life?
Wouldn't love it.
No, you wouldn't love it, but it's also Rory's. That's him. I mean, it's just the kind of you don't know what he's doing, and the point with him is he always holds back, and every now and then this little information pops up, like he's working on a fanfic. He's
Right.
like reading other people's like stuff. He also, I wasn't here last week to talk about this. He created ways to kill people
Yeah.
if they read his fanfic.
Yeah.
Kill people, maim, destroy them. The only people who are going to do that are his teammates. So he's a bit of a wild card, is what I'm
Yep,
saying.
he's definitely the wild card of this group.
And you would think after last season where he felt like he was kind of on the outs and then they kind of had that we're all one big group of family, so to speak, to still then after that still set up those death traps for them. Like, yeah, not so much.
Who's he worried about? Like, reading those, except for his teammates. It's, anyways.
All right, just real quick, which one legend do you think he was most worried about finding his fanfic?
I think Nate. I think Nate.
Or Ray,
Yeah.
maybe.
I feel like Ray
Yeah.
would not make fun of him. He'd be too intimidated. But I
Yeah.
feel like Nate would give him a hard time.
Ray would be
think
too
he's-
supportive, is what he'd be worried about.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. I think Nate would find it and immediately publish it.
Yeah.
And would be like, hey, good news. I found
Yeah.
a publication for you. It's already set. Your name's out there. Now everyone knows that you do this. And I support you. And he's like, no. That's it.
Yep.
So we ended up going back to the Bahamas in 1717, of course, in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. So the Wave Rider,
I'm sorry. I just saw. I missed who it was. Luna Malfoy 7 says no one wants their friends to read their fanfic. I just love that statement. I mean, it's very true.
so the Wave Rider and Gideon are kind of taken out of play for this. So basically, it just ends up being that Nate, Zari, and Ray end up having to go back to the present after cannonballs are fired at them.
Yeah.
And leaving Mick and Amaya back in pirate time. Mm-hmm. Do we like the introduction of Damien Dark?
Well, you kind of know he's showing
Yeah.
up.
I'm still stuck on like the cannonballs can take out the Wave Rider. It seems like that far into the future we should, or is it far enough into the future that nobody thinks about cannonballs anymore?
I think they didn't think about putting their shields up and they just cloaked because they didn't think it was going to be an issue.
That tracks for me
Yeah.
that they made the mistake. That
I think it was their mistake. I think they can put their shields up, but they have to do it. They have to be prepared for it, and I don't think they were prepared for anyone attacking the ship.
But I guess maybe that they're still making ships out of material that can be obliterated by cannonballs.
Yeah, but cannonballs are pretty hardcore. They are like giant bullets, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like if you hit anything hard enough and in the right spot, it's gonna hurt anything. I think the idea that bullets are gonna become like unnecessary is probably not true. I bet there's always gonna be bullets.
There'll be bullets in some form, but I feel like that far. Once we're time traveling, like as a culture, you'd think like vibranium, something a little bit tougher
That's
than
the
whatever.
other universe, buddy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see what you're saying, though. Yeah, you feel like it would projectiles. It would kind of bounce off.
This isn't a real like fundamental issue that I have with this episode.
I think
Also,
it is.
the
It's
queen
Lex's
of
beef.
Regal says those cannonballs were modified futuristic. While we don't know if that's true, but Dark was the one firing them.
You know
Yeah.
what? Magic. I'll accept
They're
magic
magic
cannonballs.
balls.
They're magic balls. They got hit with some magic balls in the face. They don't know what to do when those magic balls swing their way. Sorry. Still on a sugar rush.
Well, we do notice that when Dark does show up, he takes Amaya's totem.
Yes.
You know what threw me about Dark, though? It's because I feel like, okay, how is he gaining his position when he shows up to these things? I assume he just shows up in the outfit and with his, he's super powerful and everyone's like, okay, we're going to believe you. It's pretty easy to do that. He made sure they found the time to paint his portrait.
Yep.
Because they said, look at the portrait of the admiral of this fleet, and it's Dark. And he's just like, all right, before we do anything, before we take on this mission, just paint my portrait.
Because that's days. That's
Yeah.
days,
That's
not maybe like
days.
a week to get that all done. So he's
No
like,
one's that fast.
yeah, so no, we're not doing anything else right now. We're only focused on my portrait before we do anything else, guys.
This is why I love Damien Dark, is because he takes the time to really go to these places and cement himself and, get portraits of himself. Like, so he is really in all these time periods. Like, the legends should really think more about that.
It's true though. Like he always seems entrenched, even if it's not necessarily in a position of power. He's definitely got a position in whatever world
been
they
there
find him
for
in.
months.
Right, but it is so in keeping with his character that he doesn't need to do that. He just has a good time doing it.
To be fair, I mean, if you were a time traveler and you had the ability to time travel, like that's what you would end up doing. You would go to a place, be quiet, entrench yourself until the exact time when you could pull something off. Like that Stephen King book, the 11/22/63.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all about him entrenching himself in the time period so he can save JFK at that exact time. And I feel like that makes more sense. He has more time travel logic than any of the legends do, because the legends are just like, but we have a dinner tonight. Let's split up. I don't know how to figure it out. Meanwhile, Dark's entrenching himself for years just so he can be at the one spot in order steal the amulet from both of them.
And not only that, but so perfectly timed that he can enter on a line.
Yes. He's like, all right, this is I've been waiting years for this. Here we go.
But I would like to see an episode just from his point of view, for all his prep work. Does he get excited about finding a time period? Do we see him like putting on the costume, getting his looks?
You know,
What does he have?
he savors the costume fittings.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and too, like Black Magic 99, like the name there, Mrs. Dark and Malcolm interacting. It's like, yeah, because I feel like this would be better if it was the Magic Boys, like doing their thing. Because you saw, even when they were together, you would have these moments where it would be them doing that, screwing around when they're in the Hollywood and the Star Wars one. And there was a whole bit of them just chilling out, you know?
It just makes me picture like a Boys to Men boy group called the Magic Boys, and it's just Dark and Malcolm just looking
away like, you know, they just don't care.
Yeah.
So getting the totem away from Amaya, though, actually kind of frees up Amaya, as she says at the end of the episode. Now that she's kind of taken some of that burden off of her, she feels like, oh, wait, I have at least a little bit of movement, some choices that I can make. And, of course, she just wants to, make out with Nate.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Aye, Captain.
Yeah, I mean, I like their relationship. I think that they're actually doing a good job of keeping chemistry. The chemistry makes sense.
Yes.
It's not forced like we've seen in the past with Ray and everyone. But
Poor Ray.
Poor Ray. But at least Nate and Amaya, they seem to work, and every single time and their conflict makes sense, as well as every time they relieve that steam. Steamy love. Heat.
Well, and they keep finding new ways to keep it interesting, whether it's there was their powers recently,
I love that.
or dress pirates.
Role playing.
Pirates, very nice. Swords.
Nice, healthy relationship there.
The time loop one was good too, where they just wanted to keep erasing the
Yep.
the memories. It was good.
So it ends up that everybody ends back up on the island in the Bahamas where the Earth Totem is buried. Blackbeard ended up killing his girlfriend as she was kind of wigging out with that Earth Totem. But as they dig her up, she springs back to life, starts tearing up everybody, even taking down Damien, which we were supposed to know the totems are a weakness of his. But it's nice seeing kind of Damien put down his place, because he just feels like he's just, once he shows up, he always just does the hand, and then everything else just kind of shuts down for a while.
Yes.
Also, I was surprised to find out Earth meant plants and the green. I kind of we were all hoping a little bit for Swamp Thing.
I was too. I was like, yay, Swamp Thing. And then it's like, no.
Or I thought maybe like, oh, they're going to do like a kind of a sneaky Poison Ivy.
It was
a
very
thought that I
Poison
had,
Ivy like very much like the video game Poison Ivy. In some ways, I was like, this is.
It's like, they're going to make like a piratey Poison Ivy something, but it's just they're focusing on the amulet being cursed and kind of taking over people. But then they also say that an amulet, it enhances what's already inside of you. So for all the heroes, it enhances the hero side.
It's like drugs.
But if you're a terrible person, it enhances the terrible persons. I don't know if it's like drugs, because...
Well, actually, that's what my English teacher always said about marijuana. He's like, I believe it just enhances who you are. So if you are lazy and you're not going to do anything, but
Well, there's that old
and then if not,
he who must not be named joke about cocaine. Where he used to say that cocaine enhances who you are, but this is the only time
it was like,
the only time
too.
he swore. But he's like, but what if you're an a-hole?
Yeah.
Then it enhances who you are, and it enhances the a-holes. So
Yeah, my friends used to say that cocaine made you feel like you were winning, but that's also same sort of thing.
anyways,
I don't know like any marijuana users that have been like just like super like get up and go kind of people once they started smoking or something or imbibing. Yeah, let's go do a bunch of stuff. Isn't it more of like just a relaxing kind of chill out type of thing?
It depends on the strain. I mean, some of us function pretty well. I mean, I would just say, Seth Rogen, Kevin Smith, guys,
yeah.
They do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What we're saying is, do drugs. No, don't do drugs.
I'm saying,
Happy
drugs are
birthday.
okay as long as you're not already lazy.
Yes.
Don't do drugs.
So one thing that we finally get to see put in action is this gun that Ray's been building for a while. That's supposed to be working against Damien Dark.
Yeah.
So he puts it to use, and of course hits Damien Dark's daughter. She gets affected, and Ray goes back to the present and is guilt-ridden. But even though he saved him on his life, it came at the expense of hers.
I like this because I like giving, especially Ray, who's like the Superman of the group, literally. It feels like he's the one that would be most conflicted with having to take someone's life. And he created something that's purpose is to take someone's life. And I like that he's having that issue.
That's what I liked about this episode is we had a lot of great character moments from most of the characters,
Yeah.
especially this little thing with Ray, which we don't normally get to see this sort of side of him, but this does fit his character in being guilt-ridden and, you know, actually caring about people because, as he said, he knew he was trying to help Nora, and it
Yeah.
probably helps that that's his wife playing Nora.
Right,
And it's like, oh, he gets to
forgot
shoot
about
his
that.
wife. Courtney.
There's something about
Yeah.
Nora that's really...
Yeah.
And I guess part of it is because he met Nora as a child and has
Yeah.
the connection
Yeah.
with her. Whether, say he didn't shoot her, but he shot Damien, would he have those same feelings? I don't know if that's the case.
I don't think it would be as bad, but knowing Ray, there'd be at least some sort of guilt there if he were to be the one to kill Damien Dark. But I do feel like it was a little bit extra hard because of that child, you know, that he met, the child Nora.
Yeah, I think so too. I think with Dark it would have been much easier too. But we even saw, like, you know, Oliver deal with killing Dark, and that kind of bothered him. Never mind Ray.
Clean Eastwood said it best in Unforgiven. It's a terrible thing to kill a man.
I want you to do more of the show in
Oh,
your
yeah,
Clint
yeah,
Eastwood.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Nope.
Come on.
Get off my lawn.
But it,
Whoa, it's like
Yeah.
he's in the room.
Yeah, that's right, guys.
Am I an empty chair because you're talking to me right now?
yeah, you, boy.
Slow clap for that, buddy.
I agree. I really like seeing Ray have to deal with something this removed from who he is. But it almost felt to me at the end like we were already starting to walk that back a little bit. And I would have liked to see him deal with it longer. Because now he's back in a hostage situation, and I feel like we're not
Yeah,
going to have
that's a
him
bit dumb.
deal
Yeah.
with- And I was very... Even for Ray, I was very frustrated with his plan at
Yes.
the end.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the one, it is interesting though that he spent weeks and weeks developing this gun, and then within a matter of moments, seems to develop that cure, lickety split. Like, oh, all right, I get that cure now, so we go.
I
back.
think he always had that
He
cure
probably
in
already
his
did.
back pocket. I think he was always like working on that on the side, and he was so guilt ridden. He's like, okay, I'm gonna use the cure. I don't think he just made that up. I
Yeah.
feel like he's working on the gun and working on the cure, and having little fingers in each of the pies.
Yeah.
This is how exactly I envisioned Ray doing
Exactly.
it.
Gotta
And
make this
I loved
happen.
his conversation with Mick too. He's like, because you changed, I feel that she can change. Like, and it was a very heartwarming moment. Yeah, and yeah, you do see Ray, but I'm not sure about. I did love that Damien Dark even was like, yeah, fine, take it. He loves his daughter. That was a good Damien Dark
That
human
was.
moment too.
Because I don't want him to
Yeah.
be a monster completely.
No.
There's got to be something that he does care about.
I just want him to realize he's got Shrinky Dink powers he can use at any point.
Yeah.
And he never realizes that. He could have, like, shrunk down to the size of an ant and left. He could have shrunk up to the size of an elephant and left. He could have shrunk up, by the way. I apologize for that. But he could have, like, even instead of developing a magic blaster, he could shrink her. He could use his Shrinky Dinks as a weapon, like we saw in Flash.
Well,
Let
if
that
he
guy have it.
without the magic gun though, if he Shrinky Dinks her, she could just Shrinky Dink, presumably, right, using magic.
I don't know. Does she have that ability, or would
mean,
she just
if-
be a tiny little magic fly?
Probably for a while she would be a tiny little magic fly, which, from a certain point of view, is worse than if she's regular size and you can see her coming.
True.
Yeah.
Right,
That
right.
might be true.
Because to go back, so Ray does get that all together, and he goes back to 1717, by himself in the jump ship, still in pirate clothes. Why he doesn't put on the Adam costume, I don't know. But he goes back, and then a terrible barter system there with
Yeah.
Damien. Give me the totem in exchange for this cure, but I'm going to get close enough to put it in Nora, and then I'm going to hang out and just see what happens, and then let her put me away.
Couple of things, right? Like, going back alone. Again, even for Nate, terrible idea because it's Damien Dark, and there's almost no way he doesn't turn on you after you make this deal. Secondly, smaller. Aren't they still leaving Damien Dark with one totem if Ray's plan goes perfectly?
Amaya's got the totem,
Okay.
the Earth Totem.
Okay.
So, as of right now, they just have Amaya's totem. That's all they've got right now.
Yeah, he still has the
And the fire
water totem
Yeah.
and the fire totem.
Right. So at what point in your negotiation, if you realize he's willing to give up literally anything for his daughter, at what point do you not just try to negotiate for the other totem?
Well, for
Yeah.
one, Ray's gonna give that cure no matter what. He's pretty much made that clear. He shows his cards to us before he goes there. He's hoping, like, okay, I actually think it was smart to at least pretend to make it be an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Because now he's like, oh, maybe I can get the totem for this instead of just giving the cure. Because he's going to cure her no matter what.
Yeah, why he didn't just, thanks for the totem, here's the gun, way over here, I'm leaving now.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Yeah, that would have made way
Yes.
more sense. It's like, here you go, buddy.
I don't know when Ray will learn these lessons because it seems like he's constantly just the nerd coming out of the lab.
Yeah, the Queen of Regal puts it in perfect sentence here. Ray is a dumb genius. It is true.
Yeah, he's a very dumb
He's a little
genius.
savant there.
Also, not the first time he's been taken hostage by Damien Dark.
No.
The last time he was tiny and kept under a jar.
I loved that.
Very true.
It's fun.
Yeah. So, of course, we know where next episode's going is we're going to have Ray confined, possibly tortured by Damien Dark, while the rest of the legends have to go free him.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's why you have to have Ray make the dumb moves that he does to kind of
He's
set
the
up that next
damsel in
episode.
distress.
But it still is a little frustrating. I feel like there could have maybe been a smarter way to still get to that point.
Oh, I love how I said that as soon as Alicia Perez, aka Billie Jean Girl 25, said, Ray is always the damsel in distress. He always gets kidnapped. And yeah, that is, Ray is the damsel in distress.
I do wonder if they're actually going, because he's actually married to her. What's Dark's daughter again?
Nora.
Nora. I feel like maybe they might try to build up something between Nora and Ray.
I see that.
Like if they're confined and he's already said, she could be redeemed.
And she could be like, you showed me mercy.
You show me mercy.
I'll show you love.
My father's a monster.
Remember when I was a little kid?
Could happen.
That happens in time traveling stories. It gets weird.
Yep.
So do we have any other predictions for what we might see in next week's episode?
Did anybody see the next week
I
on?
didn't see the next week on. Did anyone see we didn't?
I just saw Ray
See-
being tied up in it seems like in a suburban house.
Yeah, that was pretty well. It was like just showing a lot of Ray being tortured, not much else.
Suburban
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Might more evil casserole be in store?
Oh, I can
Fingers
only hope.
crossed.
I hope we get some Desperate Housewives Easter eggs, since this show loves to use people who are on there, like Damien Dark himself. Yeah.
Well, we know Rip and Wally are out there. How many episodes from now do you think they'll be fully back ensconced with the legends?
I think they're going to be a part of next week's episode for sure. I think
And
they're.
on board and officially part of the team, or just still on their own side thing?
You know what always happens when people join the team? There's like one episode where they're like, well, I don't know if you can join this team. And then they go and do something together as a team, and they're like, you know what? You can join the team. Welcome to the team. I think it's going to happen.
I feel like it might be a little easier with Nate kind of paving the way since they did work together. So I'm sure
Yeah.
you have somebody on the team that's already vouching for this person, even though Rip's the one that's bringing him in. I feel like Nate would go like, no, Wally's cool, guys. I spent a summer with him. It was a magical summer.
There's going to
Tell
be.
me more. Tell me more.
I bet there's going to be a strange bromance triangle that's going to happen between Nate, Wally, and Ray.
Ray's gonna get jealous of their bro time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because even that, Wally's gonna come in there, but even in the last episode, I was surprised when Nate was like, now we gotta talk to my best friend. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
He's like using the B word
He's
now.
using
Yeah.
the BF.
It's getting serious. Yeah.
You know
Best friend. Wow.
what? As we're getting ready to wrap up, do we have any other birthday wishes for Mr. Dave Child?
None.
Nobody else
more.
cares about his birthday.
Yeah.
We also want to give a shout out to Tanya. She was kind enough to send a card.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was very nice. Also, people have sent me some birthday wishes over the tweets and such, and I really appreciate it. And thank you. It made today so lovely.
And now he sleeps.
So nice.
Sugar Rush collapses and anything. Dave, no, Dave.
Oh, sorry.
That's going to do it for this episode of Legends of Tomorrow. We'll be back next Tuesday night to break down another hot installment of this series. But, of course, the fun doesn't stop here. You can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody, for hopping into the chat. And if you want to continue the conversation with us after the show's over or wish Dave a happy birthday, you still have several hours Pacific Coast time.
You still got time, guys.
right.
Still got time.
Lacretia, where can they find you?
You guys can always find me at LacretiaLyon anywhere on the internet since there is only one. And I have a podcast called Mrs. Brightside, and it does feature birthday boy Dave. That episode will be out next Tuesday, and you will find other episodes all new on Tuesdays, guys. One of these days, I'm going to get Lex and Frank in there. Be sure to tweet at HappyGoJackie what you think
Yes.
Frank could bring the bright side of.
Because I'm
he's
struggling.
yeah.
I am struggling, guys.
My turn.
Yeah.
I am Lex Michael. I'm all over social media at the Lex Michael. I also do a podcast with Tari J. Miller called Missing Out, where we talk about art, media, culture, experiences, flying Pokemon that vape. It's a blast. You find us wherever you find podcasts: iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean. On Twitter at Missing Outcast. Come check it out. We love you. Kisses. Wow.
Is it the smog guy, the little ball guy that is constantly getting out the gas? Is that the flying Pokemon that vapes?
No, he is vape.
He is vape.
Yeah.
All right, you can find me at mrdavechild or davechild.com. Right now I don't have a podcast of my very own, but you'll see more. And you can see me all over the place. I love you. Thank you for the birthday wishes, friend.
Yeah, on my tombstone, I would just like "he is vape" written down there. What a great sentiment there. For Dave Child, for your birthday, I did get you a podcast of your very own. So I'm
thank
going to
you.
give that to you afterwards. But folks, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Someday I may be on either Lex's or Lacretia's. I have no idea what to talk about on either of those. I'm struggling, guys. But folks, we'll be back here next Tuesday night with another episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.